All right, well, why don't we jump on in? Hi, everybody. My name is Nick Merriam, and I am the CEO of C-City. We are a tech industry nonprofit, and we work with a lot of the different tech companies here in the community to really make sure that our industry is reaching out and getting connected to the local community. We do that in a variety of different ways, whether there's social impact initiatives around digital equity that we do, or running fun events like this where we're out talking to community leaders. We always have stuff brewing. We'd love for you to stick around and hang out with us. You can always follow us on Twitter at CSEA_CITI. Lots of our information gets collected there. You can also make sure that you're signed up for our newsletter, and we'll drop that into the chat. There it is. So we're super excited today to have Carlos from Seattle Public Schools here with us. Carlos is the Executive Director of Technology at Seattle Public Schools. He's basically the CIO, and he was born in Los Angeles but raised in San Jose, Costa Rica. He returned to the US at the age of 18 and began a service career as a soldier in the US Army. Following his enlistment, he worked as an information technology professional for internet companies and technology corporations. Later, he entered the Air Force Civil Service, where he proved instrumental in business re-engineering, planning, and acquisition of future technologies. Currently, Carlos serves as Executive Director for Technology of Seattle Public Schools, where he manages all aspects of district-wide technology services. It's a teeny tiny job. He's super bored all the time. Before I pass it over to you, Carlos, I just want to say, in honor of Veterans Day yesterday, thank you so much for your service. I really appreciate what you've given to our country. So thank you for that. And I'll let you kind of take it away. If you want to give us a quick overview of Department of Technology and Seattle Public Schools, we'll start there.
Hi, Nick. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you everybody that is here this afternoon. It's been quite interesting. I went into a retirement last year, and in November came to this job, and I had this vision about how to grow the team, and first to meet the team, and then how to grow the team from that point on, and then COVID hit. So the rest of history is just like it's been a very tough roadmap since last March. But like you said, it's a road to recovery. I think we've been in that recovery since day one. We applied the contingency operations back in March. We have a fairly good team, about 100 and so folks. We take care of pretty much anything has to do with the information assurance, cybersecurity of the networks and data. We have another team that takes care of all the data center stuff, servers, making sure the right cycles and deployments of stuff on time, and the maintenance that goes along with that as well. We have another team that does business intelligence and the business enterprise systems, business systems as well. So it's quite a pretty strong team. Also we have the techs out there, the tech line. You've been very involved with that one in the past months. Great folks. So overall, we try to keep up, every day's normal operations of the systems. We got a pretty good record, out there in the 99 point, and all the challenges that the COVID has brought us. I cannot be any more prouder than Dot's team and all the weight they have put forth and the support and the professional knowledge these guys have. They're incredible. Also to the community, how we've been able to collaborate with the community. I don't think we could have done it without you guys out there. But that's in a nutshell. My past year.
Well, great. Well, so I just want to dive into some questions that we have for you, and just to the audience that's here, if you have questions for Carlos about technology at Seattle Public Schools, please make sure to put it in the Q&A. and we'll try and scoop those up along the way. So first, Carlos, Seattle Public Schools last year launched Seattle Excellence, your 5-year strategic plan that focuses really largely on young Black men and Black boys achieving certain benchmarks. Can you just talk to us a little bit about how technology plays into the overall strategic plan for Seattle Public Schools?
You know what? Thank you for the question. I think it's very important to see how we fit within the whole map of things of the strategic plan. It was quite evident last year. If you remember, we started the one-to-one rollout of computers, and that was just to establish some access at the high school level, and we did that rollout based on tiers, equity tiers. That was our first intent of trying to bring that equality across the schools. When COVID hit, that kind of like spin things out of control, and we actually so some might say thanks for COVID because uncover a huge digital inequities across the system, and how we literally, I mean, the problem was always there of access. COVID just like brought it to light and intensified it, and guess what? Now we have champions providing the financial support, the equipment, the you name it, the devices. We had 8,000 devices donated by Amazon, amazing. So, it's kind of interesting how out of a bad situation, good things happen, and we've been able to, for the past 6 months, able to really identify the need out there. What are the needs? It's not just the technology. Technology is just one piece. That's an easy piece. We find out that some of this digital equity goes beyond just equipment. So it has been very important for us to identify what those things are and how fulfill those gaps. Quite very good example is the technology resource centers that we implemented towards the beginning of the year. We saw the need. I mean, we over the summer we had events, passing hotspots. We had events, making sure that there were laptops available, iPads, at the beginning of school. But at the beginning of the school, we said, well, they need something more. We're anticipating all these problems to surface as far as repairs. Oh, by the way, a lot of people, they need language support. That's not a technology problem. That was something else. And so, okay, how are we going to serve that as well? Access too, and not too many people. We had 3 open centers. Not too many people had access, to drive, an hour south, to go to one of those centers on the north. So we did an analysis of the data. We put what these needs were, and we put these technology centers to support that those needs that went beyond technology. That's a pretty good example of how we are supporting the strategic plan in the past.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I'm glad you talked about the technology support centers. I think that was really insightful, making sure that those were grounded in sort of local community and really targeted at those students that are furthest away from educational justice. So, I'm super curious. Can you just talk through like what does it take to shift on a dime and go from in-school learning, like we've had this educational model for hundreds, if not thousands of years, where students come to a place to learn from teacher or a teacher. And now we're in this like whole new environment where education has to be delivered essentially in the home in a format that like educators are not used to, right? Like in a lot of ways, I feel like it sort of reminds me of like the birth of television and how, early television was like a video camera watching a stage, and on the stage there were, the actors, right? And it sort of reminds me of that right now. And like this monumental shift, I'm super curious about like how you guys have been talking about it, what the challenges have been. Can you just kind of give us a little bit of a laundry list of things that you thought about, things that you've done. Give us some insight here, Carlos.
Actually, I actually gotta check out my sleep here. Let's see. What's that slide that I gave you guys? You
Oh, I
guys show
think
that?
Luanda might be able to pull that up.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go. Well, Nick, short answer to that question is the community involvement. Everybody jump on this one at once. Everybody got communication. I would say communication is the greatest tool that we have. We all communicated. We got in contact with the Alliance for Education, which provided access to a lot of resources and technology. You guys, CCD, helped us quite a bit. The industry. Oh my God, Amazon, Google, you name it. Everybody was out there, ensuring that, hey, this is not just an SPS problem. This is a community problem, and we all have to jump on board on this one. And that was right from the start. That solved a lot of our problems that would take years to solve. And for that, I appreciate and say thank you to the community. Now, from the efforts that I mean, we had this timeline right here that we display, and right from the beginning, yeah, we were addressing the digital equity issues by doing the one-to-one to high schools. Then COVID hit, and everybody, that tragedy changed a little bit. If you guys can see, we went from high schools having 6,000 computers to now 56,000 more OneDrive accounts they had to be created so they can have all the students have access. Making sure that they have their own email address for access to the resources. Through the help of Amazon, we have 8,200 Chromebooks that were donated. The distribution of those, the logistics of that, it was a big uplift on that. 53,000 new team accounts and emails, 12,000 laptops at the beginning. We find out that people need access to laptops. Not gonna do it by themselves, So now we finding out that we need hotspots. So we did some events during the summer to ensure that the people that really needed these devices, we're able to access those. Toward middle of summer, things is still happening. Still purchasing computers and purchasing hotspots. One of the things that they were very challenging during the summer, and there was a lot of communication back and forth. It was our vendors, Dell and great suppliers, Dell and HP, Apple. Yes, we can put the orders, but there were orders out there in high numbers, and they don't have in the warehouse. Oh, and by the way, we're on the COVID. Supply chains are down, and everybody is looking for laptops. Everybody's looking for hotspots. So that was another challenge that came about during that time. Towards the fall, we were able to bring and assist the more deliberate hotspots. We have funny thing, technology. Talking about technology, funny thing is technology is not easy as far as you have. There's little problems that we might put a solution, but find out that might open a can of worms for other things. So we ordered some of these hotspots with some signal, and then because of the contingent operations, okay, we thought, oh, maybe this signal is going to be great, right? Like through one service provider. Now we start to find out, we lacking in penetration on some of the buildings. We need some different technology that will allow us to do that. So we were able to sign with another vendor, and change settings and on the devices so we have penetration to 5G instead of 2.4Gs, stuff like that. So through the whole process throughout the year is being, very reiterating solutions as we go, kind of like a waterfall approach to the whole problem. But to your question, community, that's been the greatest uplifts in help. And how do we went and jump to make this happen so far?
Yeah. So I'm super curious if you can talk a little bit about like one, how's your team doing at this point? I'm sure they must be exhausted. And what are other things, at least from the district's perspective, that you've been like what are the new things that you're having to do in this virtual environment to really get to addressing families, which if I understand everything correctly, like the district historically hasn't had relationship with family. Like a lot of times those relationships sort of go through the school and then are supported by the district. And now you're in like this new position where tech is like front and center and supporting almost like a new customer. How have you guys been thinking about that? What are the changes that you've been making? Talk to us a little bit about that.
So that's an interesting point, Nick. And I know you have to have some input on this one as well. Um, back in the summer, as we opening all these events, we started finding out that it's not that the problems are not about technology. There might be some other issues in there. So we started getting feedback from the community. We put a couple of surveys out there, and we got the feedback. In the technology centers was the result of listening to the community that hey, we need this type of language support. We need access. Something quick to go in and get things fixed. And once we put those things in place, amazing. And people walk out with great smiles, and thanking everybody because that's exactly what they needed. When you go out and you talk to the folks out there, really trying to understand the problems, I think that's what we make our money, how they say. So the out of this chaos, some ideas have come out to bear, and you guys help us in coming out with the idea for the digital equity manager position within the SPS, and this person will do just that, trying to understand what the problems at the community, what are the challenges as far as technology. We all knew in this, and we don't know what we don't know. So this is an opportunity for this position to go out there, really reach out and get an understanding of the problems and bring them into the tech realm, so we can make decisions that make sense, and still address to be aligned with the strategic plan that the school district have set forth. It's quite interesting. I'm eager. I believe we already made a decision on who that person is. I'm eager to meet her and literally get involved into understanding what these problems are and how those translate to requirements, and how those requirements, the decisions of those requirements drive that solution. We have a body called the ITAC, Information Technology Advisory Board, that was implemented back in 2018, I'm sorry. And we actually looking for new members. If you guys want to pass the word, the applications are actually on our website. And this person will be part of that advisory committee, ensuring the committee is composed of teachers and community members and industry and some staff. So this person will will bring that information that I think is greatly needed to making those decisions as far as equity and how it will drive the solutions of the future.
Yeah. Well, we'll make sure to give a plug to that board, both in a follow-up email, and that might make its way into one of our newsletters here. So yeah, absolutely. I know one of the challenges that you all seem to face, and one of like the critiques that I've heard out in the community is the lack of data around students and student needs, like, and how to quickly address and change that. And this isn't specific to Seattle Public Schools. I think the city struggles with this as well. And when you talk to the state educational group, OSPI, I know that they also struggle to get really good ongoing data. Can you just give us a little bit of insight as to why data is so hard to collect on students?
We have, not sure. I mean, we're still working through those wickets. when I first got here, I saw that we have a pretty strong business and intelligence team that collects the data and makes sense out of these things. And that we were in the infancy of putting dashboards. We started looking at data in a systematic way, more comprehensively, and breaking it down. Those processes were being implemented right before COVID hit. They were creating all these dashboards. Okay, we had the idea that whatever decisions we're gonna make in this future will be database. Um, well, that kind of like slows down because now we have to respond to COVID, and that was the challenge of why that data just it's, we had to start building it, and the data points because we switched the strategy. Well, obviously we were dumping to remote learning. Um, that changed on what data points we have to take a look at. So now that data has to be built in, like how many people needed hotspots, and how many you still need hotspots. So it's being a iterating process on, okay, now we need this set of data and to start building on that data. It's just been very challenging because of COVID, but I think we're coming out in good shape so far. And that refinement, which takes time. I mean, take 2 months of data and say, oh, that's it, right? No, it takes time to get to that point, and then start putting the controls in place to address whatever issues that data is showing.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me deviate from the script there for a second and dive in on that one. So, I think my final question, and before I ask my final question, just a reminder to the audience: if anybody has questions, drop it in the Q&A. But what does so we know COVID cases are going up right now. People are talking about the third wave. Seattle Public Schools has already said weeks ago at this point that there's no possibility of being back in the classroom until sometime in January at the very earliest, and then decisions will be made based on science and data then. So what can families expect from remote learning for the sort of foreseeable future, indefinite level future?
Well, hopefully good news. How say this? I was just watching the town hall last Tuesday, and Carrie out there was saying, "Hey, everybody is on this from day one, and we are learning as we go." And that's true for everything in every area, tech, the curriculum guys, you name it. I think from the technology view, we are looking into improving some of the user experience that's out there. That has been a lot uh, uh, feedback that we have received, from teachers and community members. That there needs to be some standardization of these systems and the user experience as well. Those are some of the efforts and issues that's going to be discussed in the ITAC, just as a heads up there. But I think that as we move forward and we cannot improve the systems, i.e. the platforms, there's we use Microsoft Teams. That's pretty much our platform for collaboration and chatting and video. And there's some features in there that might be able to improve that process and bring better user experience to the users out there. So I'm hopeful that as we start moving more towards calm waters here, we are able to plan more effectively and really understand what those problems are within the platforms and technology access, and really start bringing forth those capabilities that they are requesting, in a more smooth way.
Yeah, great. And so one quick question from an audience member is, how have you collected feedback from community members representing students for this from Educational Justice, whose first languages are oral only or other than English?
I'm not sure about that. I'll have to reach back to my folks and see if that had happened. Sorry about that.
Okay. And then one other question that I saw pop up is, what is the most surprising thing to you about how kids are using technology right now?
You know what? It's kind of scary, and I hear this from a couple friends that I got, the PTSA and other folks out in the community. Is like, hey, how do we stop the kids from using Google? Google, YouTube. They're watching movies. I'm like, well, that's a hard one, but I mean, the teachers are using also, the technology to put videos out there. So I think it's a give and take, but it's kind of scary that I'm hoping that they're watching the correct videos, not the cartoons or something else out there. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. I've got very small kiddos who are 2.5 and 4.5, and when they are lucky enough to find our phone unlocked, their ability to navigate that is crazy fast. I mean, it just like, it looks very natural to them, which sometimes terrifies me. So anyway, last question for you. If anybody wants to support Seattle Public Schools or digital equity in education right now, between now and the end of the year, what should they be doing?
I can pass that information. We're going to be establishing most likely an email for that office that I can pass to you. And I'll say the new digital manager, digital equity manager, will be on board most likely starting next month. I'm hoping. So all that information I can pass to you, and just feel free. I mean, we need as much support and feedback from the community as we can, to make this successful moving forward. Remote learning is a tricky, little guy there. So let's all work together to make this, a better, more successful environment for the kiddos.
Great. So what I take away from that is sign up for the C-City newsletter, and you will get stuff delivered to your inbox on a regular basis about how you can support Seattle Public Schools and digital equity. Carlos, thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining us today. And to everybody still on the line, I'm watching the numbers quickly go down, but if you're still here, we have a great event on Monday evening. We've got a bunch of tech leaders talking about the election. They're going to be staring into their crystal ball and looking at what the new political environment is going to look like. So join us. You can find information on our website. Carlos, thank you again. And we really appreciate all the work that you and your team does in our community on behalf of students. So thank you.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.